I would like to thank Mimi Marcello for intervention. At this point, I would like to give the floor to the Secretary General of Europa Donna Hellas, Mrs. Stella Zoulinaki, to talk to us about one of the most pressing challenges facing breast cancer survivors. I mentioned it in my introduction, and that is the right to be forgotten for survivors, the right to be forgotten.
Thank you very much, dear Chair. Thank you very much, dear Ambassador, dear MEPs. Thank you very much, all of you being here today. It is an honor and a pleasure to be with you today. Cancer nowadays tends to be treated quite effectively, and we often talk about a cure thanks to new treatments, technologies, diagnostic methods, and early prevention. In 2020, in the European Union, 1.4 million people won the battle against the disease. It is estimated that there are over 12 million cancer survivors in Europe. Taking into account all types of cancer, it is predicted that cure rates will increase to 80% in 2045. In particular, for some cancers, including breast cancer, 10-year survival is already today over 70+%. Research shows that the transition period from the end of treatment and the continuation of life without a cancer diagnosis is followed by some challenges. There are some stress factors that seem to have a significant impact on a person's daily life, such as uncertainty about the future and a sense of insecurity. For example, today a cancer patient, even after recovery, faces serious problems in obtaining a loan and obtaining a life insurance. The European Commission's blueprint to fight cancer in Europe sets out a new approach for the European Union to beat cancer by taking into account the whole disease pathway from prevention to survival, focusing on actions where the European Union can ensure an added value. In support of this project, the Commission seeks to examine practices in the financial and insurance services sector from the perspective of justice, fairness to people with a history of cancer in long-term decline. The right to be forgotten is about the right of every person with a cancer experience to move on with their lives without discrimination and with access to insurance coverage and financial facilities. The European Commission, with the aim to improve the quality of life of cancer survivors and equal access to financial products, has proposed the development of Code of Conduct for Cancer Survivors. Such a code, according to the Commission, would result in the use of only the necessary information when assessing the provision of life insurance products linked to loan contracts. In February 2022, the European Parliament adopted a resolution to strengthen Europe against cancer, calling on member states to implement the right to be forgotten by 2025 and calls for it to be introduced into EU legislation to prevent discrimination and improve cancer survivors' access to financial services. It further calls for all member states to guarantee the right to be forgotten for all European patients 10 years after the end of their treatment and 5 years after the end of treatment for patients diagnosed with cancer before the age of 18 by 2025 at the latest. A first phase has been completed, an exploratory study. The second phase will start soon. According to the European Commission, this phase will involve a consultation with all stakeholders, scientific community, patients' organizations, banking and insurance sectors. By the end of 2022, 6 European countries, Belgium, France, Luxembourg, the Netherlands, Portugal, France, and Romania, had adopted specific legislation recognizing the right to be forgotten for cancer survivors. According to the relevant legislation in Belgium, Luxembourg, the Netherlands, and Portugal, the period beyond which medical information on the previous cancer situation cannot be collected by insurance organizations cannot exceed 10 years after the end of treatment. In Romania, this period is set at 7 years, while in France, with the recent amendment of legislation, 10-year period has been reduced to 5. Legislations also include a number of exceptions for cancers with an excellent prognosis as to when the right to be forgotten is exercised. In the Netherlands, the Federation of Cancer Organizations and the Insurance Association have drawn up a list of exceptions for cancers with an excellent prognosis as to when the right to be forgotten can be exercised earlier at 3, 5, or 7 years, depending on the stage. In Luxembourg, the right to be forgotten is not regulated by law, but by an agreement between the Ministry of Health and the Association of Insurance and Reinsurance Companies. In order to ensure the proper implementation of the right to be forgotten, a monitoring and re-evaluation committee was set up, composed by all the stakeholders. A recent successful practice that makes us particularly proud as a pan-European Europa Donna Confederation is the case of Cyprus, where from the beginning of 2023, the agreement between Association of Insurance Companies of Cyprus and Europa Donna Cyprus for the introduction of the right to be forgotten in life insurance for people with a history of cancer was put in place. The right to life will apply in relation to life insurance, which is intended to secure a bank loan of up to 200,000 euros for the acquisition of first residence. In Greece, no code of conduct has been formally agreed upon, but some positive initiatives have already been informally adopted for some cancers with excellent prognosis, such as breast cancer, thyroid cancer, etc. After contacting the Hellenic Insurance Association, it was stressed that people diagnosed with cancer are not excluded from insurance by definition, but the risk is assessed on a pre-insurance basis, just as it is for everyone and for any disease they have faced. Accurate evaluation of the risks assumed by an insurer is a prerequisite for correct pricing and for building up sufficient reserves to respond fully at the time of the onset of the risk. The European Insurance and Reassurance Federation, Insurance Europe, through its 37 member bodies, is in favor of a solution that strikes a balance between the reasonable protection of this group of persons and the ability of insurers to carry out their work on a sound technical basis. It supports the European Commission's proposal for a code of conduct which should be based on scientific, medical, and statistical data. It should be flexible so that reflects many different types of cancer and should respond to the different needs and characteristics of countries. Furthermore, it should be agreed by all stakeholders and be able to adapt smoothly to scientific developments. This proposal offers a scope for Europa Donna Hellas to contact as an advocacy and lobbying body the Hellenic Association of Insurance Companies, the Ministry of Health, and other stakeholders. The right to be forgotten is a landmark development because a vulnerable group of citizens, such as cancer patients, can now redefine their lives without the memories of the past being a burden on their dreams and they have the possibility of equal access to life insurance services. Thank you very much for your attention.